Hey everyone, and welcome to a new episode of Imagination Megapark. I got a lot of really nice comments about the last addition to the park, which is this top spin over here. If you haven't seen it yet, then obviously you have missed an episode. But yeah, I'm really happy with how it turned out, and I think it's really fun to work on this new steampunk medieval area. Speaking of which, in today's episode, I want to add another ride to this area, and it will actually be covering a lot of this part over here. And the ride that I want to build today is a Bob Kart. Now, if you have never heard of what a Bob Kart is, it's actually an existing type of ride which has been built in a few parks, and you could kind of see it as a motorized bobsleigh. So yeah, the track which the ride will be traveling around in will sort of look like a bobsleigh track, but the vehicles will be motorized. Now, before I start building any of that, I once again want to name several of my handymen after commenters. So yeah, I still have a lot of handymen to go, so I picked out a few more commenters to name some of my handymen after. Alright, Sylvia, Cromanti, Widget Kitty, Damien Dusk, and Kerrigan Rush. I hope I didn't butcher any of those names. And yeah, I have to congratulate you guys with your job eternally wiping the paths in this beautiful park. Alright, how am I going to build the Bob Kart? Well, first off, let's just make a little test track here. Okay, here's my little test track. Now for now it's a vertical drop roller coaster track. Let me change it to bobsleigh coaster track, but remember there's a really steep bump over here. Now I'm not really sure if the final track will have one of these, but just keep it in mind. So let's change it to the bobsleigh coaster track. This part will become invisible because the bobsleigh coaster track doesn't have sprites for it, but trust me, it's still there. Anyway, we now have one of those 6-seater bobsleigh trains, and now you see when I test it right now, it just moves at a slow speed because that's what the station gives it. So on its own, bobsleigh train is not motorized. So we could obviously just launch it from the station. So let's just launch it. As you can see, it now is launched from the station. It actually didn't make it over the hill here. So yeah, our launch is not ideal because in the beginning it will be really fast, and then later on, yeah, it will lose more speed as it goes. Now, since the train is so short, it doesn't look like it actually got launched very far, and now you can see on this hill it crashed. So yeah, launch is not ideal. So how else could we motorize these vehicles and prevent them from crashing at the same time? For that, I will use our friend the Ride Vehicle Editor plugin. So I'll just change the number of vehicles on this train to 2. Actually, I'll take away the powered launch mode since we are no longer going to need that. Just put it in continuous circuit mode. I'll test and immediately close so the trains spawn, and then with the Ride Vehicle Editor I will take vehicle 1 of this ride and I'll change it to let's do the sports cars. Where are they? Alright, took me a while. So here we have one of those sports cars. The sports cars is an interesting ride because it has a different variant that's invisible, and that's going to be really useful. Now, the sports cars, when you put them on the track, they drive on their own since they're a powered vehicle. So that's also a property that's useful, since we're going to be able to use that to make it drive on its own. So the ride by default has acceleration of 90 and max speed of 8. I'll just set the max speed a bit higher 48. Not really sure what unit 48 is, but let's now give the ride a spin. As you can see, the ride accelerates on its own. And as a bonus, it's now completely immune to flying off the track, because the front vehicle is no longer a bobsleigh coaster. Now, it does still stop at a weird spot in the station, but we can also change that. So let's go in the ride vehicle editor again, and we select vehicle 2, and we just move it forward a bit like this. So now vehicle 2 is actually on top of vehicle 1, but the train will no longer stop in a weird spot. And it looks like I actually broke the ride by doing this. Even I am still learning. Alright, well, that's just a small hiccup that I'll have to tackle later. I will remove this test track and I'll build a full layout for this area. Alright, here you can see the layout for this Bob Kart. Now the trains will start over here at the station, obviously. They will be motorized Bob Karts, so they don't really need that much of a descent. But yeah, here they have a few small drops. So the real Bob Karts that I have seen, typically they don't have large drops, but yeah, they will typically have smaller hills, kind of like alpine coasters. So that's what I also did over here. Now here in the beginning there's a really twisty section. It kind of looks nice from this angle, I think. But yeah, the coaster basically just passes over and under itself several times, going back and forth. And for a bobsleigh coaster, I think a track like this really brings out the best elements of a bobsleigh coaster. So yeah, it will just fling the riders to the left and to the right. Now over here, another little bridge over the path. Here's a bit of a twisty section. Then over here, the bobsleigh will actually go underground. And what I actually plan to do is make a queue here, which has a glass floor, where the guests who are queuing can actually see the trains pass right under them. I think there'll be some fun interaction with the queue. Now, finally, I needed a way for the trains to get back up to the station. So here I did something which I normally don't do, which is stack some helixes on top of each other. And I will just neatly hide this away inside a building. But to be fair, this would probably be pretty fun to ride with a motorized bobsleigh. Of course, I still need to decorate this ride, because right now it just doesn't look very appealing. So yeah, it's time to make some buildings. Alright, I've now made the station for the ride. It was really fun to work on this. I'll probably add a few more decorations to make it look a little bit more steampunky. But yeah, I'm really happy with how it turned out so far, especially this queue over here. I think it looks fantastic, and it's must be quite fun for the guests to see these Bob Karts travel around under them. Now, you can see the queue is filling up again. I actually closed the ride temporarily because the queue times were just so long. It was almost criminal. So I added a few more vehicles to the ride. Now, this queue line will still be really long, but it should help a little bit. At least until the buzz for the new ride runs out and guests will disperse to other rides again. Now, still quite a lot of decorations to do. Now, one thing that these rides will usually have is that they're covered for most of the track. That's because, yeah, you really don't want this track to become slippery. So I'll probably experiment a bit with adding a covering over most of the track here. It's really fun watching multiple vehicles go around on this track, I just noticed. But yeah, I'll try adding some sort of covering above the track, see if it looks nice. And if it does, yeah, I'll keep it. I'll add a few more buildings around here. We can probably make it go through another building around here. We can probably add a few more decorative buildings around here as well. And I'll probably keep some space open here so we could add another ride here later if we wanted to. So yeah, I think I'll just get started on the rest of the area here. Alright, this area is now pretty much completed, in this part at least. As you can see, now the Bob Kart over here has a roof over the track. Now I decided to only do it over this part of the track and not, for example, over this part. Maybe I'll add a little bit more later, but for now I think this is enough. Now next to this track I just put some of these bushes. I kind of tried to make it look like a vineyard, so also put some of these sticks here and there, some fences around it. I think this is just a simple but effective way of nicely decorating this area. Now, I might do some more work on this later, but for now I'm actually quite happy with how this looks. Now I also made two little buildings here, or actually they're pretty big. Two buildings which these coaster vehicles pass through. You can see a little section in between them, yeah, where they also pass over these guests. So yeah, I think that provides a nice guest interaction here. Now, while I was building this, I also got a new idea, a fun idea for a fun new ride. So over here you can see this tower, so guests actually get in. This is actually a lay-down coaster vehicle. So yeah, guests sit upright here, then they fall down, and then it travels under the ground, goes through a curve, and actually guests pop out here with their heads yeah, upside down. So they're actually looking downwards right here. And then after that they go back underground, and then they pop up right over here again. Yeah, I did this with quite simple shoestring. Well, I say simple. Of course, for me, it's this is one of the easier rides to do. But yeah, I think this gives a really fun effect, and it's definitely a ride you won't see anywhere in the world. So that of course makes it ideal for a park like Imagination Megapark. Now, yeah, that's pretty much all that I'm going to do in this episode. It took quite a long time to make all these buildings. Still gotta do a little bit of detailing on the side. And probably we need to have a place here for the guests to eat and drink something. But we can probably do that in one of the next episodes. But yeah, with this, yeah, we've done at least 2 episodes in every area. So from the next episode on, I think I will just do another lap around the park and build something in every area. I think that will be a really fun way to continue expanding the park until eventually all of the park will be filled. Now, before I forget, I also added another patron to the park. He's walking around on top of this ride over here. So let's quickly name him after one of my patrons. Alright, Sergal FH, thanks a lot for supporting me on Patreon. Yeah, it really means a lot to me. And yeah, I really want to thank everybody who is supporting me on Patreon. If you also want to get a spot in the park as an entertainer, there's a link to my Patreon channel in the video description. Alright, that's going to be it for this video. It was fun working on 2 more unusual rides, ones that I haven't done before. Yeah, if you like this video, please consider giving it a like, it would really help out my channel. And I think it will be fun to end this episode with a ride on this Bob Kart, as far as we are able to see it. Alright, hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you again in the next one. See you later.